Hi, my name is Alessandro Gangelosi and that's a video tutorial coming from cgcookie.com for Max Cookie. As you see, we have to continue working on the scene, the tire and the puddle, and we done something in the past video, and we had some basic simulation. We can see it just playing with let's see, maybe 150 max substeps. Let's check the tire, and we have it active, and we can go back there and we can try to simulate some frames to see how it works. Today I'd like to finalize the simulation and then move in 3ds Max just to see how to work with a mesh and how to prepare the rendering. So let's simulate. Obviously it is saying that we lose the simulation if we play the simulate. Let's select it, and you see that the speed is not bad actually. So I'd like to have the final resolution for the puddle, and you know that actually we are working with 3000 for the water resolution there, and we have not so much particles. Later we can check it. You know that when we are working with a water simulation as this one, we need a lot of particles, and I'm talking about from since hundreds of thousand particles to millions and millions of particles. It depends on the scale of the simulation and on the detail you are trying to achieve. Actually, we are working on a not so big scale fluid effects, but we need a really good amount of quality to have the right water simulation. We have to check also if we have the right export channel there to see if we are exporting the particles and later the mesh. And in the meantime, I'd like to go back in 3ds Max, and we can open also the scene we are playing with there. So in Dropbox, in the right folder, we have tire and the puddle. Let's open it. Open, and we can save as the part 2 in a new folder. So 3ds Max, fluids, tire in a puddle, part 2. Okay, and then we can save it there with the right name. So that's our scene, and you know that we have no mesh there inside the 3ds Max for the water, because the mesh will be exported in Realflow, sorry, for 3ds Max. So the scene is ready, and we have just later to check the lighting and the shading just to have a rough resolution and a rough setup to have the final scene. Let's go back in Realflow to see what happened, and you see that we have the simulation going forward. I think that the actual setup and settings there for the simulation is not so high. I see some particles flying away, and that's not so good. But we'll see, for example, with a mesh, how it looks. So let's wait maybe for some simulation there, some time, and later we can check it. So let's go inside 3ds Max and let's start playing with the setup there. We can render it with Realflow, MintArray, or maybe also iRay. It depends on your needs. Let's prepare the scene to be rendered with MintArray, and we'll see some differences to set up it with iRay. So first of all, let's use a MintArray sky and sun. So we need a daylight. Yes, we like to change the exposure control. Okay, and we have it there. Let's go and modify, and first of all I like to set MintArray as rendering engine. So there, mental ray. Okay, and we are ready to work with the stuffs there. So we have to say that the daylight is using the mental ray sun and the mental ray sky. It is asking if we like to have the physical sky as environment map. You say yes, and we can say also there viewport background, use environment background and display background. So we'll have the mental ray sky there. Okay, you see that we have it. And let's move a little bit there and there too. Okay, let's go there, and inside the exposure control we are using actually the logarithmic, and we go there for the mental ray photographic. So you see that the exposure is different, and let's say that we have the physical basic lighting there. Let's say maybe we have 200 for the film speed ISO. Let's try to use a different shutter speed, and let's try to use also maybe a different f-stops, but I like just to find a good result there. And I like also to change the sun position, and I like also to have not so high highlight burn, and we are working in scale, so we can use this one, and a little bit more Kelvin there to have a more yellow coloring, and a little bit of connecting. Let's try with maybe 15. Okay, and you see that we can see all the changes in real time there. Let's close this one and let's go there to have, first of all, I like to change also the mapping there. So exposure control, we can copy the map there, assistance, and let's work with a right real scale sides. So 1. Okay, and let's change the setup of the lighting. We have 12, and I like to go for maybe 10, and let's change a little bit the north direction to have a lighting coming from there, something like that. Okay, let's save. Let's see how it is working there. Okay, it is still simulating, and let's go back there in 3ds Max, and let's play with the ground color. Let's say that we have a really dark color for the ground, something that will be similar to the road there. Then select the road, the ground, and we can make a texture for this one. Let's say asphalt. Okay, and let's put it there. And then I like to use a mental ray shader. So we'll go for the Arch&Design, and we'll go to have a really low value of reflectivity, and it will be really high, the glossiness, you see, maybe 0.4. and the texture I like to use, we can use for example an asphalt map, and we can try maybe also to have we can use for example maybe a substance map. I like just to go there, select substance, load the substance, and we have the asphalt there. Okay, that's the map, and we can change a little bit the params there inside, and I like to have maybe 3 and 3 for the tiling, and we can remove the blurring, talking about the other stuffs, we can stay with the default value, but I like to make a test render just to see how it's looking. Let's go for 900 and 400, and we set there to have the show save frame, so we have the right visualization. Let's make a test render. Okay, we can have a darker map there for the ground. Obviously, I'm not trying to make a simulation for a really good ground there. It's just to have something we can use. So let's go for a lower luminosity, something like that. And I like to have less cracks and less damage. Let's have a bigger scale for the damage. And let's see, just an area, and render. This is really dark actually, so let's go for a higher level and preview. I don't like it so much, so let's go for a bitmap. Actually, maybe it's the faster way. So bitmap, and we should have something there ready to be used inside the 3ds Max folder. So programs, Autodesk 3ds Max, and maps, concrete, and we have a basic asphalt, so we can use this one. Okay, let's remove the blurring, and we can go for tiling, hoping it will be not so visible. And back there we have the asphalt. Let's see how it looks now with the map. You see it's a little bit better, and we don't need so much beautiful stuff, so we can simulate it. Okay, and simulate again there. Okay, you see that we have a little bit of reflection. We can have still a lower level of reflectivity, and we can control it using this map. Let's see how it will look. We should have really low reflection, and as you see now it's not so visible, but if you try to check you'll be able to see it. So maybe we can go there. Okay, we made a mistake. We have to copy it there as a copy. Okay, and same here, we don't need the output selector. Copy. Okay, and this map for the reflection can be a little bit more visible, so let's try with something like that, so we'll have some more visible reflectivity over the ground. And I see something there, nothing so much, but I see something. So we have a really tiny reflection. I'd like to have a more glossiness there. And let's check more stuffs. We can have a bump map, and for the bump map we can use again the same map we used there. So let's go there in the bump as paste, and let's use a lower value. So blurring 0.1, and we have 0.3. Let's see if it's okay. I think we can stay with this value. And other things I like to do is to pick the metal there, and let's see if we can do something. We have there this material. We can change it to an Arch&Design, and we say that we are talking about a really dark color as this one, and we have a really high reflectivity with an higher level there, 10 for the higher. And let's see what we have now. to say to use the IRR reflection in the BRDF. And then I like to have also the sun with more power. So let's select the daylight. Sorry, again. Sorry, I have some problem to select. Okay. I think I have some kind of problem there with the user interface. I like to save and reopen it. So let's go there, reset, and reopen. And go in the selection. I have to reopen 3ds Max. There we can stop. And you see that's our simulation, and that's not bad. Maybe just a little bit of more dragging there over the ground. Let's open 3ds Max. It is loading. So in the meantime, we can make some playing with the mesh. To have the mesh, we have select this one. And you see we have the particle mesh render kit, particle mesh standard, and grid mesh. This time we need the particle mesh standard. Okay, inside we have the fill objects, and that's right. And we have no params at the moment. And if we like to make some testing using the basic value, we can go there and we can press the build button with the right mouse button, and you see that we have our mesh. The mesh is really really low quality. I mean, you see, that's really not good. What we can do over the mesh to have a better quality? First of all, let's go in 3ds Max to see if everything works fine now. Okay, let's select the daylight. Okay, now it works. And let's say that I like to have a little bit more lighting, maybe a little bit more inside the scene. And I like also to have some glossiness there over the metal. And we can work on the gamma there. You see that we have just a black color. We can have an Arch&Design, and we'll have a really dark color, and then we have a really high glossiness. So we can stay with this value, make a test, and we need for sure, first of all, a darker color for the gamma. So let's go there, let's go darker, a little bit less glossiness, and let's say that we are using the IRR, and we go for 4. Let's see if it is going better. You see that we have a better reflectivity there, but actually we have too much reflection. So we can do something. We can first of all change the value there, and let's see what happens if we add 0.2, so a really heavy glossiness. Okay, it's a little bit better, and we can have more darker level for the diffuse. So we have a basic value there, really dark, and you see that where we have less reflection, we have a darker color, and we have more bright color there, but we have for sure to have less higher hair there. Let's go for 3, and let's go for .3 also there. Let's see if it is a little bit better. It seems a little bit better. I'm not trying to achieve a realistic response. So we have a not so bad quality for a preview, so we can stay with this value there. Let's go back in later. Maybe we can fix something just to finalize. We need also the asphalt material there, okay, and let's check if it works fine in this area and render. We have no good mapping there, but it's just for a test purpose, so we can stay with this value there and just playing with it. Okay, save and go back in Realflow, and we were talking about the map there, the control over the mesh. You see that we have this quality, and that's not so good. We have for sure to use the filters. So let's set to yes using the basic value to have a more water look, and right mouse button and build. And you see that now we have a better shape. Then other thing we have to do is to change the scale of the minimum value for the metaball, and you see that that's the value there. Let's try to have something like this, and again select and build, and you see that actually it is really for sure better because we have a really interesting shape there, and the polygon size is not so bad. We can stay with this value there, it's not a problem. I'd like to see what happens when we have, for example, this version of the simulation. It is meshing, and you see that the quality is really not bad. Maybe we can have a little bit more higher quality for the polygon size, and you see that there we have this one. We can have maybe 3, 5 to have a polygon a little bit more little, and let's see near what happen. That's the mesh. We can have a build again, and we'll have for sure a little bit higher resolution. Now what we need is to have more particles to have a more realistic look. So we have to do two things. First, save. Then let's go inside the export center to see if we are exporting the mesh there. So particle mesh no, grid mesh no, and we have it there, and the mesh is exported as a binary sequence, and it is exported in the mesh folder there. So we are exporting it. The thing I like to do is to have let's reset, okay, and let's check the tire, because you know that sometimes we have the tire going wrong. Okay, it's not bad. Let's select the mesh there, and particle fluid interaction. I like to have a little bit more ruggedness. Let's say maybe 0.01. We make a test, and then there we need more particles. So the first thing we can say, then we have to redo the simulation. Actually we have not so much particles, so we can try to do something. We can remove there the initial state. We can select the tire and make it inactive. Go back there and set the build to no for the mesh, so we have no meshing during the simulation. Then back to the fill objects, and inside the initial state, let's say that we are not using, and then we try to have double particles, 6,000. Let's reset, and let's make a simulation for some frames. Let's have a really high amount and simulate. Now we see if it's okay to have double quality. Obviously, if it is not enough, you can make a better simulation at home, trying to follow our tutorial, and you can use higher resolution level there. We'll stay maybe with 6000 just to be faster to prepare the video for to be published. So let's wait maybe 5 or 4 or 6 frames just to be ready to have the water level there in the right position. So let's wait until 5. Obviously the simulation will be not so fast, so maybe I'll stop the recording to waiting to see together the simulation there and to start playing with it. I think I can stop also there and waiting for more frames to have a stable fluid. Okay, I think we can stop it there, and we have it, and we can say please make initial state, use the initial state, and reset to initial state. Now we can reset, and let's check the tire, and the tire is going in the other side, but the animation is right, so maybe we can make the simulation, but I prefer to have the right look there. So let's go back to the puddle. Data will be removed, and that's okay, and we have to make the simulation again. So the tire must be inactive, and it is okay. Okay, fill objects 6000, don't use, and let's check there 300. Okay, I launch again the simulation. Sorry. Let's reset, and we have to check there, build, remove, and simulate. Okay, I stopped the recording and we continue. Okay, so we have the initial state, and we can launch the simulation, and we have no building there, and we can simulate with an higher amount of particles. We have not so much particles, you see, just 46,000, and you can go higher for sure. Let's simulate. It will take a little bit of time for sure, so you have to wait a little bit, but maybe we have to sorry, I have to start again. So this one will be set to inactive. I reset the scene and we can restart. Okay, now we have it. That's set to no, that's set to make initial state, and the tire will be active. So we can start make the simulation. Let's try. Okay, we have to go back. I have to check which is the problem. Okay, simulate. Okay, and that's going in the right way. So you see that now we have something around 170,000 particles, so we'll have a better level of quality. So I stopped the recording so we can see later the simulation, and we can start creating also the mesh together. So we can merge then the mesh inside 3ds Max, and we can set also the water shader, and we can make the rendering. So we'll see the rendering together later. So for the moment I stop the recording. We'll see back in a few. Okay, so you see actually it's going forward doing the simulation with a better number of particles. It is a little bit slow, and we have 30 frames for the moment, so I can stop and see. You see the tire has the problem, but we can check the simulation without problems, and you see that it seems not bad. Okay, let's go to simulate the mesh build. It will take a little bit of time. Okay, let's try to go near, and we say to this element to be smooth shade so we can see it, and you see that seems not bad actually. The mesh, I'd like to go a little bit near, and I like just maybe to make a test using a different value there. So inside the filters we can say refraction 0.2. I'm doubling the parameters, and 128 substeps. Let's build, and let's see if the mesh is a little bit better than the previous version. Okay, let's check it, and you see that it seems more like a fluid, and I think it is better than the previous version. Let's see, for example, there, particle mesh build. And let's see the mesh. And let's say that we can see the particles. So let's select this one and view, element, and bounding box. So we can see just the fluids, and you see that there seems really like water. So what I like to do now is to pick the mesh, and we simulate this mesh there. So we have there build set to yes. We go at the first frame, and we say build. So you see, let's go at the beginning. Okay, and to create the mesh we can go there and use the macro, and it is building use the script the mesh. So you see frame by frame it will be created and exported in the right folder. We have just 29 frames, so now we make the test using 3ds Max, just using those frames, and later I simulate all the other frames, and you'll be able to see the final animation on the web. So let's wait together the simulation for all the frames we need. You see I have then to fix again the tire position because it's wrong. Let's wait. It's not so slow, so I think we can see together the 10 frames we are waiting for. If you have time, it will be interesting for you to use an higher resolution for the particles to have still a more complex simulation. It depends on also on the camera position and the resolution of the rendering window. So we have not so high resolution because I use the standard CG cookie resolution 900 for 400. So I think this resolution for the mesh will be enough. We have to simulate still more 4 frames. This should be the latest frame. So let's stop using the ask key and go back. Okay, that's our mesh. So let's go inside 3ds Max and we'll create a Realflow mesh loader, and we have to select the beam mesh and we have to go inside the users. I'm inside the Alessandro. You have to go inside your folder there and scenes, and we have puddle mesh and select the first frame. So now we have the mesh, and let's see with an isolate just this mesh there. Okay, we have to set in the right position, so I exit from the isolation and we can create a camera from this point of view, and then this will be again, let's select the puddle. Okay, and let's move it and let's zoom to be more precise. It should be right. Okay, it seems good. Let's go back in the camera, and you see that's our simulation, and it seems not bad. We can use a really simple shader there, and let's call it puddle, and let's choose for an Arch&Design, and let's go for a water reflective surface, and we'll remove for the moment the bump map and assign it, and I like to see how it looks in this frame, and we'll see also how it looks in the other frames. Actually, you see we have also the coloring done by some parameters inside the shader. Let's see, for example, what happened in this frame. You see that we have too much green, I think, and we have also too much reflection for the road, the tire. So two things I like to do is, first of all, let's go inside the inside there. I like to use a really dark color, and I like to have a really high transparency. Let's see now how it looks. I like to have for the moment no reflectivity, and I like just to see with the transparency what we have. And let's see when we have more water going away. Okay, let's add the reflection. Let's remove a little bit of reflectivity there over the tire, maybe 35. Let's see it again. We should have less reflection over the tire. Okay, it's a new tire, as you see. We know no stuffs over it, and I like also to have there on the silver. I'd like to have something like that, and a little bit lower, higher air. Okay, so the scene in 3ds Max can be ready because you see it's not bad actually. We have a really simple but good level of quality. That's, for example, when we have also the tire over the water, but we have still no simulation between it. And I think that it's not so bad. Let's see again when we start to be inside the water. We can go a little bit more near. The splash. So we see it in a better way there inside the rendering. Okay, so I think we can pick the mesh, use it for the puddle, and we can assign a different shader. We'll use a really simple one just to have, so we have no reflectivity, and I use a bitmap just to have a different interior color there. So let's go there in Programs, Autodesk, 3ds Max, and inside the maps, let's see ground, and we'll use this one. Obviously the quality will be low, but I mean it's not so important actually. And let's see if we can have a different UV map. We can use a really simple rough box. Let's see what we see there. The shader is really simple. I can say it's a stupid shader. Okay, I'd like just to have a really bit a darker color there. So this map inside the output will be darker, and again there. Okay, we can stay with really simple parameters. Again, render. And that's okay. Perfect. Save the scene. We are ready to render everything. It's ready. To have the final look, you have just to pick there, select to render the complete image. We can remove the render region, and you can use there maybe 1 for the diffuse bounces, or maybe 2 if you have time. We can go for low or medium, and we can go for midsole, 16 and 1 just to start. And let's see which is the final look. Obviously, you can create a more complex environment. You see, our environment is really simple. We have nothing, just a box there and nothing more on the sky, but we have nothing all around. So you can create your scene with a better quality and with a more complex environment. After this rendering, I will create the final simulation so I can render it and we can check it together later. So it will be the best way to see the final result coming from this tutorial. So let's wait a little bit. Obviously, we can create a lot of secondary effects there, because it would be interesting to have, for example, a wet map to change the shader there over the ground when the water cover the asphalt. But it can be maybe a future tutorial or maybe a future tip video to understand how to play with this kind of effects. Okay, perfect. So I think that for the moment that's all, and I hope to see you back on Max Cookie to check for new tutorial coming. So from cgcookie.com. Bye.